Last night we did coverage of the presidential debate late into the night, and one of the things we were following was Trump's reaction to the debate that was disastrous for him, great for Vice President Kamala Harris. And so what that means is I was sort of synced, I thought, with his sleeping schedule because we were staying up as he was reacting, covering that. And so then I woke up this morning feeling like I'd barely slept, and he was already back an hour before on a morning show on Fox News complaining about the debate. So he's very upset about this. And you'll hear that in his voice and in the theories he's pushing. Already last night he was saying the moderators were unfair. This morning, if he slept at all, overnight he's escalated his rhetoric. Now he's saying Harris must have received the questions ahead of time. No evidence of that happening whatsoever. And that it was rigged and all sorts of different things.
Kamala doesn't do any shows. She doesn't do interviews. She doesn't talk to people. She doesn't do anything like that. And that's not fair to the public because they don't know what they're getting. But they saw last night what they had. They had a rigged show with somebody that maybe even had the answers. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched her talk, and I said, you know, she seems awfully familiar with the questions, and you get pretty good at that stuff after a while. But when I saw how totally rigged that was, I take a look at it, and I watch, and I say, you know, you have to get out there. And one of the things I did is I said, let's do this show at, like, what time is it, 6:30 in the morning. And it's an honor to do it. But you have to go out and you have to do the shows. You have to go out and do media. And some of the media is honest. It's not all dishonest. That's the good.
All right, so he's just all over the place. And he baselessly asserts that Harris got the questions. My new rule is when a dishonest MAGA talking point upsets you, try to default to having a more positive takeaway, okay? Because that really has changed my life. And what I mean is the petty attacks against, sorry, I just woke up myself. The petty attacks against Vice President Kamala Harris by Trump are vile in many cases, like the questioning of a race, but actually reveal to us the weakness of his argument against her, which is a positive thing. Then here, the fact that he's having to say she was delivering responses to the questions so well that he thinks she got the questions ahead of time, that's a compliment. It's a lie, but it's a compliment. Another lie that MAGA folks are saying, which these lies, and we'll get back to the Trump interview, but they really contradict the other lie that's being told, which is that Trump believes this is his best debate performance ever. And Alex Jones posted this. Look at these earpieces that look like earrings. Looks a lot like what cackling Kamala, okay, just whatever, was wearing. What do you think? And there's a split screen with some earpiece earring, I guess, and then what Harris is wearing. A community note was added to this saying Harris had Tiffany & Co. hardware South Sea pearl earrings, no longer sold by Tiffany, that she'd worn many times before, not the Nova H1 audio earrings. And sources there comparing the two, as if we need to fact check that. So MAGA's saying both that Harris also had a bad, or not also, Harris is the one who had a bad night. Trump had a great night, but also Harris did so well, she must have had an earpiece in, getting answers fed to her, and she must have had the questions ahead of time. Okay, so y'all agree then that it was a disastrous night for your guy. Here's more.
Trump. Mr. President, how do you feel about the night? 105 minutes long. You've done this before. I think it's your 8th one. What is your review of your performance?
Well, I looked at the poll numbers. I listened to Harold Ford. I don't know what he was watching because I think he wasn't watching the debate that I was in yesterday. I think we did great. It was 3-1. It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because when you looked at the fact that they were correcting everything and not correcting with her. And we knew it when it was 100.
Again, it's just there's only one way to address that talking point, and this one.
This was incredible. I mean, everything, so many things I said were debunked, totally debunked, like Charlottesville. I have a list of 7 different things, and she could say anything she wanted, everything, every time I spoke, and my stuff was right.
Charlottesville was not debunked, no matter how many times that's repeated. And he maybe understands, but maybe some of his followers don't get. The sign of a fair moderator or moderators is not, do they equally cut off or equally fact check either participants in a debate? It's, do they fact check when a fact check is justified? And by the way, in service of Trump, they ignored a bunch of things. We were doing live fact checking. We had to put up often 5, 6 things as Trump is talking, and the moderators maybe at the end would fact check one of the things that he said. And I understand why they did that. You kind of got to keep the debate moving. But he should be grateful that that's all they did, given how dishonest he was being. And you compare that to Harris. I saw the fact checks. For example, the New York Times really wanted to show that they could do like 2 fact checks of Trump, 2 fact checks of Harris. And hers were like, oh, this misses some context, or this was slightly misleading, given if you consider the way the pandemic affected the trade deficit, or if you consider the, yeah, of course we can add context and have more thoughtful discussions. Short, bounce back, ping pong debates like this is not exactly where all that context is analyzed. So there's just a difference in the honesty of the 2 candidates, so the moderators have to treat them differently. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. Then, oh no, Trump's asked about, from this diner that one of the Fox News hosts is in, about his plans to help families.
But, Mr. President, this young lady right here, she's concerned about the future of the country. She's concerned about the grandkids, and she's concerned about the stress on these parents. Ma'am, what is your question for the former president? I would like to know what kind of programs or policies he could implement to reduce the parental stress with parents having to work 1, 2. I have family members who are working 3 jobs trying to make ends meet right now. Yeah. Spending more and more time away from their families.
That's right. Well, we have big,
What are you going to do on day one, Mr. President?
Right. Child care is a #1 priority, and I have no choice because I have a daughter named Ivanka, and maybe you never heard of my Ivanka, but I have a daughter named Ivanka, and that's all she talks to me about is child care for the people, and she's the one that got it started, and Marco Rubio helped a lot, and a lot of the Republican senators, we put in a great child care, and we'll be expanding that, and that will help you a lot.
It's part 2 of his childcare answer from before, and it didn't get much better. My daughter Ivanka cares about this, and we did. What did he say? We did a great thing with childcare. Not explaining at all what. That's just a topic. What did you do with it? What are you talking about? And we're gonna do childcare. We do childcare better than anyone does childcare. What's your policy? I'm confused. This did not clarify from that economic club rant that he went on. Then we talked about last night, Taylor Swift endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris right during or after the debate, and Trump says he doesn't care.
He's doing a great. Hey, I've got a quick question for you. Out of nowhere, after the debate last night, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. What do you think?
Well, I actually like Mrs. I actually like Mrs. Mahomes much better, if you want to know the truth. She's a big Trump fan. I was not a Taylor Swift fan. It was just a question of time. She couldn't. You couldn't possibly endorse Biden. You look at Biden, you couldn't possibly endorse him. But she's a very liberal person. She seems to always endorse a Democrat, and she'll probably pay a price for it at the in the marketplace. But no, I like Brittany. I think Brittany's great. Brittany was got a lot of news last week. She's a big MAGA fan. That's the one I like much better than Taylor Swift.
That's the one I like, huh? Talking about, it's Matt Mahomes, Jade? Patrick Mahomes, big football guy, and his wife, I guess, endorsed Trump, and so Trump is saying that's the endorsement that I really care about. I saw Megyn Kelly this morning in some clip on Twitter ranting about how terrible it is that Taylor Swift endorsed Harris Walls, and she said, "There goes your support from Republicans. You're gonna suffer. I don't know if you're gonna be able to sell out." This part she didn't say, but sell out venues anymore. And it just makes me laugh because this is what they said last time. It's never true. Few things are more strong than people's political views, and that's their support of Taylor Swift. So even conservatives who disagree with her, I don't think are abandoning her because they like her too much. Then this is such a pitiful moment. Just think about how much they're having to coddle Trump. Trump says to Lawrence Jones, the Fox News host in the diner, "Hey, can you get the crowd to say who they thought won the debate?" And Lawrence Jones goes, "No," initially. And then Trump goes, "No, do it. Do it. I want to do it while I'm on the phone."
And I hope that Lawrence, if you're listening, Lawrence, I hope you go and do a little shout-out poll. And I don't know the people there, but I love the people there. I can see it. But why don't you do a shout-out poll who they thought won the debate last night? It would be great.
You know, we always do the poll at the end, Mr. President. I think
why don't you do it while I'm on the phone? Yeah, but I'm on the phone now.
Okay. So
it's so awkward. Even though Trump is requesting something strange, why wouldn't Lawrence Jones just go, "Yeah, sure"? It was kind of a weird, nope, because we're going to do that at the end. And then he turns and says, "Who supports Trump here?" And they all cheer. I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's fine. This whole concept of sort of doing interviews with someone, and you have a correspondent in a diner that you've already selected because you know it's a bunch of conservatives, so they're all going to cheer, and you go, "Look, this is just average Americans and how they feel about Donald Trump." It all just feels strange to me. Here, one thing that immediately became a debate after the debate was that Harris saw the way that it went for her and said, "Hey, can we do this again pretty soon?" Trump says, no, she wants to do it again because this one went so bad. I don't want to do it again because it went so well for me. Best debate performance ever, he said. And so now Harris is going, "All right, you know what? Let's do it on Fox News." That's right. I'm so confident that I'll mop the floor with your comb over that I'll even do it on your friendly network. And Trump's saying, even if it's Brett Baier and Martha McCallum, I won't do it. It has to be someone like Hannity.
Mr. President, I know when we started the interview, you said that you felt that you won the debate last night, your best ever. I think before the debate happened last night, the Kamala Harris people said that they would actually like to do another debate in October. And I know that last night Fox News sent letters to your campaign and her campaign offering 3 dates of debates moderated by Martha and Brett. One is October 9th in Arizona.
Well, I wouldn't want to have Martha and Brett. I'd love to have somebody else other than Martha and Brett. I'd love to have, frankly, Sean or Jesse or Laura. Somebody else. Let's give other people a shot. But I didn't think Martha and Brett were good last night. I thought Jesse was fantastic.
MAGA, is this really the alpha that you so loyally follow? He's so sensitive that it can't even just be Fox News, Martha McCallum and Brett Baier, who are both right of center, but just have a little bit more of a straight news aesthetic. And Trump goes, no, it can't just be on Fox News, which is already favorable landscape to me. It has to be with out-and-out pro-Trump propagandists. And if you're MAGA, you're going to say that's not unfair. Have you ever watched them? That's not... If you think that's news, something's just wrong in your perception of what news is. Hannity, Laura Ingraham, or Jesse Waters. Have you heard what the three of them have been saying about this race lately? It would be a joke of a debate to have the three of them or any one of the three of them to host it. At least Brett Baier and Martha McCallum, with their massive flaws, they do know how to sort of conduct a debate, and they could potentially do it in a fair way. Goodness. Trump did go on to do the whole ABC shouldn't have a license. They should be punished for what happened. And then you have this.
I think they lost a lot of credibility. But regardless, look, the polls are saying that I won that by 80-20, 90. We have one here, 92-7, and I sort of believe that's right. I thought, look, I've been told I'm a good.
Yeah, I said last night, but I really do think that that debate broke Trump's brain because you just sound silly. Even if Harris came out and said the polls say 93% of people think that I won, that would be silly too, even though she obviously won. You just don't get that sort of agreement in polls on anything in America. And he's citing these right-wing outlets that are just sending out to their social media or whatever a little poll where anyone could just click it. Yeah, okay, that's not Trump. That's so sad that you're focusing so much on that. And he's now repeated that probably 100 times in the last 10 hours. Fun bonus clip. Hannity last night before the debate said there's a 0.001% chance, essentially no chance, Trump will be triggered by Harris.
Do I think that she will be able to rattle him in any way? No, I would argue right now the chance is 0.001%. Do I think he will be respectful? I do.
Obviously, things that only happen 0.001% of the time sometimes do happen, but I still think that's a just absolutely great example of his terrible, terrible analysis and clearly him not making the correct predictions, because I think you could have put it at 90-10 in favor of Trump getting rattled by Harris's attack lines. And a point that I saw, and I'll show you one of the attack lines that I'm referring to, a point that I saw a few people make is, how did Trump not prepare for this? It was so widely reported on. We talked about it, the leaked Harris debate plan, and she did it. He had her plan already, which was, I'm going to get under your skin. I'm going to call you out on these different issues, and you're not going to be able to stay calm. With that information, Trump let her get under his skin, let her call him out on multiple issues, and whatever the third point was that I made. He absolutely fell for it, got thrown off his game, and wasn't able to make the points that he would need to make to have won the debate. Here's one of those great moments.
And those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments. And so what would happen, the best example of this was Harris made her point about the border security bill, calling out Trump for trying to get, or successfully getting Republicans to block this bill. A great example of the obstruction from Republicans on border things as they fearmonger about it. But then she made that point, and it was clear and concise, and I think anyone who hadn't already heard that point a million times understood exactly the key points, right? It wasn't sort of a inside football remark where you don't exactly, what are you talking about? She clearly broke it down. Okay, he got Republicans to shoot down real action on the border that could have solved some of these issues. Got it. He knew she was going to bring that up and could have had an effective response. It probably would have been super dishonest, but he could have had something that sounded good. But because she made that point and then ended the point with, oh, and by the way, you should go to his rallies because people are wandering out and they're bored and he's rambling about Hannibal Lecter. It threw Trump off in moments like that did, where he still addressed immigration things, but he could never debunk one of her important points because what you would call the unimportant, more the bait that she was putting forward totally worked on him. And it was good to see. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Support the show by clicking the join button below and donate to the Harris campaign in the link in the description.